Recording stopped. Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Good afternoon to you all, and welcome to the Scrutiny meeting of the Anglesey County Council.
Recording in progress.
Before starting the formal agenda, can I wish a very happy birthday yesterday to Councillor Margaret Millie Hughes, and also a happy birthday today to the Vice Chair of the committee, Councillor Dylan Rees. And I know that you both have only just turned 21, so all the best to you both, from me personally and the whole committee. Can I just say that I'm Roberts, not Hughes, Alan? Just a little mistake there, but thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you for that, and I do apologise that I've just changed your name there. I'm so sorry for that. Right then, the item we have today, I'll go through everything else, but today we will be looking at the statutory reports of the Social Services Director, and this is a report that's an annual report, and it belongs to the author, to the director himself, and the report comes to us in the Scrutiny Committee and then goes to the executive on Monday, and then it'll go on to the County Council. And so we will be bringing the director in first, then the portfolio holder. But before that, we'll go through the attendance list. Councillor John Griffith? No? Councillor Dylan Rees? Present, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Councillor Alan Roberts? Good afternoon, everyone. Councillor Margaret Millie Roberts? Good afternoon. We do have apologies from Councillor Nicola Roberts, Councillor Richard Griffiths. Good afternoon. Councillor Richard Owen-Jones. Good afternoon, everyone. Councillor John Arwell Roberts. No. I am aware that we have accepted apologies from Councillor Brian Owen, and I'm here, Councillor Aled Morris Jones, Chair of the committee. Elected members, Mr. Keith, or co-opted members, Mr. Keith Roberts. He sends his apologies. Thank you. Mrs. Ernest Fraser. Apologies. Mr. Dyfedwyn Jones. And Leo Johnson, Mrs. Leo Johnson. So the 4 co-opted, they are to do with education. So that's the main reason why perhaps they're not present here today, so that people who are listening to the meeting, for them to understand why they're not present. Members of the executive first. Leader. Good afternoon. Councillor Lina Smeddy Hughes, portfolio holder. Good afternoon. Councillor Miriam Jones. Good afternoon. portfolio holder for education. We do have apologies from David Rhys Thomas, the portfolio holder for corporate. Any other members of the executive? No? Can I ask Mrs. Anwen Davies to go through the list of officers who are present, please? Thank you. Good afternoon. Anwen Morgan, Chief Executive. Vaughan Roberts, Statutory Director for Social Services. Rhys Hughes, Director of Education. Anne Holmes, and also Sinead Rowe. There's apologies from Bill Ann Williams and Hugh Jones. Thank you very much. Thank you and welcome to you all. So we will move on to the agenda. Declarations of interest from anyone, please. Councillor Dylan Rees. Thank you. There is reference to the Bwyd da Môn plan. I am a volunteer on this project, but it's not an interest that's going to prejudice things. So I think it's okay for me to carry on today. Thank you for that. Anyone else with any declarations of interest? No, I don't see anyone. There we are. So the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of June. Who proposes these, please? Don't be shy. Happy to propose, Chair. Thank you very much. Councillor Alan Roberts proposing and seconded by Councillor Richard Owen Jones. Thank you very much. Can you just show your hands and show that you accept the minutes, please? There we are. That's unanimous. Thank you. Right, we'll move on to the main work of the committee today, which is the reports by the Social Services Director, to the Statutory Director on the effectiveness of social services 2020-2021, and Mr. Vaughan Roberts first, please. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present this report. To start with, perhaps the title is a little bit misleading. It is the Director's report and it's a statutory title. I think it's important to point out that this is a report for us all as a council and social services, and this includes you as members who have supported us as a service and me as director to move some of these projects forward. So I'm not going to take praise for the work as an individual. It is teamwork. Not just social services. Some elements in the report are to do with the third sector and several other departments in the council, as well as partners and you as well. So I just want to make that point before starting. The second point, before moving to the report, I'd like to thank staff of the social services departments for their work during the year, this challenging year. And that includes our foster carers who have worked in a totally different way to the way they used to, and they've coped well with the challenges that they faced and the challenges that we still face as a service. So I would like to thank everybody in those services and our partners who have worked well with us during this period. You'll see in the report that we have kept in touch with the CIW during this year, and I can confirm that in this meeting that we have had visits from children and adults about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and I can share with you that that visit has been very positive. And there will be further information once we receive a letter from CIW confirming that, and that should arrive within 2 weeks. So that's we'll come to you when it's arrived. Also, we've succeeded we've had 2 visits to Cartrefi Clyd, which has also been positive during this challenging period. So there's a lot to celebrate. But as a service, we aren't resting on our laurels. We have work to do, and we want to look at the way we offer services when moving forward. The needs of people are constantly changing, and the pandemic has forced us to change the way we work. Looking forward for the residents of Anglesey as a council, and I do play a part regionally and nationally. We are putting in input, viewpoints from us as professional workers in this field on Anglesey, and this is so that we can ensure that the needs and the voices of the residents of Anglesey can be heard when national and regional decisions are being made. In the report, and I cannot apologise that it's 50 pages long, but the report is set out what we need to include, and this is a little a smaller version than the original, but we've kept everything in, and we've discussed a little bit about everything, every comments, rather than putting the whole details in. And I'll talk to you this afternoon about some of the elements included. None are more important than the other. But regarding the development in adult services, you'll see a little bit about digital services and the way we use technology with several individuals or groups on the island regarding dementia work, the virtual village hall. People have been doing yoga and knitting classes, and we've been able to use this technology and provide it to individuals and help them to go to digital. So there's no need for people to be lonely on the island. So that's helped people's well-being. Again, with adults, we worked closely in partnership with the third sector, Metro Mon, Mentor Mon, and also Mencap Mon. And they were successful with our support to open a hub in Llangefni for adults and also for children with learning difficulties, and we were very glad of that partnership, and we want to develop that partnership moving forward. Also, we've seen an increase, if you recall the CAW report regarding social services, adult social services, around a year and a half ago by now, they talked about the lack of progress of direct payments in the service. We have progressed that, and then there's an increase in the use of it, but obviously people do have the right to decide whether they want to receive that service through this process or not. So in adult services, I've only touched on some elements there. There are a lot of, that's what we've done during this year. With regards to children's services, in the report, we talk about the progress of foster carers. We hit the target of 6 carers, and we had more during the year, and that's due to that service and the small team who continued to meet virtually and to assess foster carers for us on the island. Also linked to this, looking at the children who are in care, we were able to open 2 Cartrefi Clyd homes, and 3 homes were being able to brought back to Anglesey, and CAW about 2 weeks ago gave us a very favourable report regarding the quality of care and how happy the children are in those Cartrefi Clyd services. So that's very positive to the service. We have also offered play opportunities through our partnership with Metro Moon to the children of Anglesey, and that will continue because there's more money available from the government this summer, There is a plan in place to provide money for communities and clubs on Anglesey to offer opportunities to children on the island. Also, the Add Track project has been very successful regarding the number of people they have reached during the year. And also, as I said, please remember that COVID is behind this. It hasn't been an usual year for anybody. And so those are the main headings from the children and adult services. As I said to start with, this is not work that we can move on without the supports. And it's true to say that the education service and housing service are very strong partners to us in children's services, and without that working together, we would not have been able to create such a positive report this year. Obviously, we do work with other partnerships within the council and other services, but our main partners are education and housing, and so I would like to take the opportunity to thank them. And I'm glad to see that Trees is here today. The main message from this paper, just to close, is that for you to understand and have a clear message that the statutory work of social services continues during this year. CIW during the visits have confirmed this. We have succeeded to continue in our statutory work, and also we have been able to go that little bit further to continue to develop and change the way we offer services to people in light of their needs. So we've listened to people's needs, we've learned from complaints, and we've reshaped, if you like, without having to think about a bureaucratic process, and we've been able to move and reshape the services to the people's needs. And so with those few words, and if you want me to go into any detail, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you. You're on mute. Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts, for that presentation, and thank you and the departments for the work that you've done during the year. There have been challenges in your work daily, but those challenges have been worse than ever during the COVID period. And so we are very thankful to you all as a department. Personally, I had to contact the departments recently with a case, and the response was quick, and I am glad to say that I'm very grateful for that quick response in this case. There will be an opportunity to ask questions to Mr. Vaughan Roberts in a minute, but I am going to bring the portfolio holder in and the council leader, Councillor Llinos Meti, and also to take advantage of to congratulate her. As we know, she has been on the Betiau Football programme for an hour last Sunday, if I recall, and it was a very interesting programme. So just to congratulate you on that programme, Councillor Llinos Meti. Thank you very much for that. I don't think people should rush to listen to it either, but thank you nonetheless. Firstly, I think we need to remember, I would think Vaughan has said it already, but the effect of COVID on everything, and the fact that we've had that reassurance from CIW that the service has continued to do the statutory work, that gives us that assurance as elected members. Vaughan did present the reports last year, but the majority of that had been written by the old director. So this is the second one for Vaughan to present. This is the first one for him to write. So I'd like to congratulate him as a director of social services during the past year in the way he has dealt and led the department during the period. And thanks also to everybody who has ensured that the service has continued and that everybody has everything that they want and need, and it's extremely important. And when you go through this, you see social services and you say it in 2 words. And it's not so simple. It's a very broad service. Some services are quite simple, but others have a huge impact on the lives of people. There's a variety of needs, variety of service, and we have to tailor services to people's needs. So there's a talk about awards going out to staff in health, and it's saddened that there's nothing similar for social services staff who during this period have been on the front line as well. So I don't have an award to give them. However, I do want to thank them, and I hope that they will appreciate those few words. Thank you. You're on mute, Chair. Thank you. I'm sure people would say they'd like me to stay on mute, but maybe not today, of course. Can I just add to what the leader has said, that we are thankful to the service and to that work that's going on every day, and the challenges, the extra challenges. So the first councillor I'm going to bring in, his hand is up already, is Councillor Richard Griffiths. Just before bringing him in, can I remind you on the guiding principles whilst we are looking at this matter to the scrutiny members? This is in part 3 of the report, which is attached to the report. To assist members when scrutinising the topic 3.1, impact the matter has on individuals and communities. The report sets out the priority for social services for the forthcoming year, as well as reflection on the past 12 months. Anglesey citizens are at the heart of what we do, and the report addresses the authorities' work in ensuring we comply with the Social Care and Wellbeing Act, as well as the current COVID-19 situation. 3.2, a look at efficiency and effectiveness of any proposed change, both financially and in terms of quality. The report has a specific chapter setting out our financial resources and how we plan for the future. It's an ongoing challenge to balance the needs of our citizens within the financial allocation, but the report highlights clear budgeting planning. The financial situation for 2020-21 was within budget. 3.3, look at any risks. The report includes updates on the service risks, including our actions in improving our children's services over the past 12 months. Financial implications are an ongoing risk. Despite an improved balance sheet last year, we also consider our COVID-19 response within the period. 3.4, scrutiny taking a performance monitoring or quality assurance role. The director shares his report with the group to allow for scrutiny and challenge to take place. This is welcome, and we look forward to receiving your feedback to further ensure that we are proceeding in the agreed direction in a timely manner. Input has also been received from colleagues from other departments such as finance, housing, education. The report has been scrutinised by the authority's senior leadership team before being circulated to Scrutiny Committee, Executive Committee, and the meeting of the full council later in the year, the dates to be confirmed. 3.5, looking at plans and proposals for a perspective of long-term prevention, integration, collaboration, involvement. Focus on well-being. The report addresses our efforts under each of the heading above. So This report includes lots of challenges and areas that the service have to cover. So with those little words, if you can keep that in mind, Councillor Richard Griffiths. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Vaughan, for the report. A very clear report, if I can say. You did touch upon the direct payments. And you know, I've talked before about direct payments before. I'm supportive of the idea, but to me, I see it helps independence. What are the main reasons for the progress and the increase, Vaughan? I think it's because people during COVID, if you think people have wanted to stay in a bubble and they were able to do that rather than having to access a resource. Also, we as a service have more confidence in the process, the direct payments process, and so that helps. And also I think we have systems perhaps that increase. Maybe they're not there yet, but they do need to progress again. But I think there's more resources that we can support the use of direct payment, and also, you know, the word of mouth. People say this works for me, why don't you try it? And then that leads to an increase. Sometimes small communities that we work in, people haven't heard about direct payments, and they use something alternative, something more traditional perhaps. But we have seen an increase because the staff and the process we have in place are in a better place, and there's more confidence around the system. But as I say, it's not at the figure that we'd like to see. We want to see further progress and further increase, and we are working with partners to be able to see that progress during this year and going forward. Thank you for that, Vaughan. Thank you. Next councillor is Councillor Margaret Murley Roberts, and then Councillor Alan Roberts. Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much, Vaughan Roberts. That was a very positive report in a very challenging period. Just want to know your priorities going forward, the key ones for the next year. What are they roughly? Children and adults, and have they changed because of what's happened last year? The elements have changed, and perhaps what's changed most, and some projects are longer than a year, is that what's changed is the timetable for them, the schedule. Some have had to change, so the vision hasn't changed, but the end result of the project hasn't changed, but the schedule has had to be either held back or moved forward to deal with people's needs on the island. Regarding the two services, we need to look at, and we are looking at what we offer and how we offer it. And I mentioned the fostering panel was able to work virtually, and that's worked good for people. So we are hoping to continue with those meetings virtually to be able to make it easy for people to join with those panels who make very important decisions. We need to look at adult services following the review of that service, and to look at modernising the service and taking a step back and looking at how we achieve our duties in the service and how we can make it a little bit easier for the person using that service, so that we are maybe a little bit more slick regarding the way that we provide services and the schedule for providing services to try and make things more streamlined. We have had good comments from CIW that we are ahead with our work on protection, and that's going to be young people are going and adults are going to be included in this, and so we need to look at those areas. We are to be aware as well of our workforce during this period. Our workforce will have heard lots of words like Zoom and Teams fatigue, COVID fatigue, but I think people have had enough. People are tired. Like Chris Leader said, we the work of social care and social services. We haven't had the hero's cape that's in the same way as some in the health board have had. I do congratulate the health board, but we haven't had that same recognition. And the health board says that they would never have been able to get through this emergency without us, our social services, and the flexibility we have of working with them. So we have to be very careful on how we look after our staff and workforce moving forward. Without them, we wouldn't be able to serve the people of the island. And so this is something that needs attention. Other elements, perhaps, we have an agenda where we need to develop and continue to develop children in care and the services that they receive to make sure that they receive the best services. And so very early on in this financial year, we are hoping to get more foster carers, and by the half of the year we want 6 more foster carers, and we want to expand the Cartrefi Clyd project on the island. And so this is a very exciting period, and that confirmation by CRW that we are doing something right has helped us to continue with that plan. And so roughly those are the main things in the reports. In every section there's a little bit more information about how we're going to get there, but very roughly that's how we see things. Can I just I support that I support, that we sometimes forget staff, and we but I think it's very important that we don't forget about staff. At the end of the day, the work won't be done without the staff. Thank you. Thank you very much to you. And perhaps it might be appropriate before bringing Councillor Alan Roberts in to say the figures speak for themselves, don't they? Total social service budget, 37,700,000 over. Adult service budget, 26,700,000 over again. Children and family service budget, 10,900,000, well, nearly 11 million. A total amount of grant funding, 6.8 million. People employed, 683. 83% speaking Welsh or at level 3 or higher. So these are the important figures. Who was helped or supported? 3,084 contact with adults, 3,843 contact with children and their families, 823 adults received information, advice and assistance, 897 adults received care and support plan, 200 individuals looked after children, 162 individuals on the child protection register, 68 at the year end, 77 average number of children registered throughout the year, 372 carers assessed during the year, 61 foster carers and 35 homes. 93 young carers supported by Action for Children. So those figures speak for themselves regarding the excellent work that's going on and that's been done by our staff, and thank you to them. Councillor Alan Roberts, I'm going to have 2 questions. I want to change them around if that's okay. You've just referred to the figures, Mr. Chair. Is there a change, progress? Have the numbers decreased, specifically because of COVID during the year? We have seen an increase certainly this year. If you recall, at the beginning of COVID, we were seeing referrals coming into adult and children's services going down. But if we we put the total together, once we got used to things and came out of the first lockdown, numbers increased, and it has increased substantially by now. And we are planning how are we going to meet that demand and that increase. We do have ideas at the moment on how we can achieve this, but certainly none of those elements being read out has gone down. They've all increased. And that's going to be a challenge to us to meet those needs moving forward. And I hope that we will be able to receive an assurance on the ICF payments moving forward. If they come to an end, some of those monies I used to help people moving to the statutory aspect of the work. So it's important that we can plan moving forward, because I don't see those numbers going down for at least a year easily before things begin to even out. But we are ready for it. We have planned with our partners as well and the third sector to try and manage the need. But it is a challenge. Thank you very much. That's what I'd thought. Earlier, you've referred to the working that's happening between different services and different departments. I'm very interested to know what's happening between education and social services. We're all aware, for example, as school governors, how much of a challenge welfare is and how COVID has been challenging on children, older children, GCSE and A-level students. Can you give us a flavour of how this working together works? I can, yes. If I start, I'll go back to the beginning of the journey. The working together during COVID especially has been, well, we've joined as one team very quickly. And so procedures are in place regarding vulnerable children and how we were going to keep in touch with vulnerable children. And you have to remember, during lockdown, the first lockdown, it was a period where none of us knew what was around the corner, so we had to plan in the dark and just make the most of it. Looking back and reviewing what we did, I don't think we'd have been able to do anything differently, because it was successful during the period we were in the pandemic. What we had a partnership between where we shared information between education and schools and ourselves to come to know our vulnerable children and recognise who they are. Every vulnerable child, some of them don't meet the needs to receive services, and so we needed to find out who those were. We had youth workers providing free meals to people's homes. And so the youth service just came over to this service, and that service was able to knock on the door, see the children, make sure they were okay, have a word with mum or dad, and make sure everything was okay. We were able to send play packs to the children where children's parents said, I don't know what to do next. We contacted with the heads and shared information. We talked often with schools as well. And so the work, and I can explain this work in 2 minutes, but the work just shows the working in partnership and the preparedness to work in partnership between those two departments. Moving forward then, we have been able to work closely and be able to understand the needs of children, the worries people had about returning to school, some children not having computers and so forth, and we've been able to offer financial support as a council to give that provision to children who might not be receive social services support at the moment. There has been an element where we have continued to do the best we can for the children, rather than looking at our processes and saying, well, we're supposed to do this, and this is education, and you're responsible for this. That hasn't happened. And without that working together, it would have been a totally different story to us in Anglesey. But looking back at that time, and we can learn from everything. There was an assurance to me that we did the best we could, and our engagement and partnership with schools has improved, and I hope that you as good governors come across where head teachers have shared information and shared that. And what's been positive to me when CIW did their assurance review was that some head teachers have written in to say, written into CIW to say that the service has changed. A head teacher in a meeting with us, and his was there from the education department and several others in the meeting with the inspectors. And I think we haven't been here before, and people haven't been in the position to say that we'd like to meet with people to share our story, our part of the journey. I don't know whether you have anything to add there. Yes, of course, it's appropriate for me to come in, Chair. Thank you very much. Yes, I'd just like to, before starting to thank Vaughan for allowing us to improve the partnership and the need. We had a discussion about the need to improve things for a while, but because of COVID, we've been forced to improve and work together more quickly. But the partnerships has been very important to us in schools and in education. Another education was the project in Holyhead, the engagement project with young people. And not just people on the list of social services, but young people in general who were finding it hard to cope and who were vulnerable because of these circumstances. And Estin came to this service similar to the review Vaughan has gone through. They did say that things have improved, but we're not yet there yet, and we want to continue to improve. And we have a lot of ideas and plans in place. For example, inclusion in Ynysmon, and moving forward, we'll be looking at this again. We are one team, as we say. We are part of Team Mon. I'm part of Vaughan's service, and Vaughan is part of my service. Thank you. Thank you very much for that response. For me, that is the basis of how we are going to work in the future. As you say, you can't separate social services and education and so forth. We need to work together for the sake of our children and young people. That's the important thing. Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Alan Roberts. Councillor Dylan Rees. Thank you, Chair. Can I thank Mr. Vaughan Roberts for the report? He's referred to the fact that this is a positive report, and certainly I agree with that. It reads very well. I also want to congratulate the staff and partnerships for the excellent work they've done. I just want to pick up on one thing, one department. He's referred to the Ad Track programme and saying that this has been successful with a number of young people. And I'm just looking at the statistics on page 29 of the report, and I'm sure this work has been very challenging and very difficult during the pandemic. But for me, some of the statistics don't read as positive as that. It says that we've engaged with 194 young people, and only a third of those succeeded to go on to have to gain qualifications, and not many had gone on to employment. How do those statistics compare with the targets that had been set? I take it you had targets. Have you achieved the targets that were set? You have to remember, if we go back to the figures you've just mentioned, some of the young people perhaps haven't left the home, haven't been part of a community, maybe have never had any contact, external contact, and so perhaps the starting point with some of these individuals was further along than what their needs were. If we look at what sort of individuals we work with, the work has been going on for months with some of these people to get them out of the house and to use the bus, perhaps. So when you work around Llangefni, you see young people, you might take advantage that they can come out of the house and they have the confidence to walk around, and that somehow confidence to use the bus. So I think the data, to me, yes, they're very hard data regarding who's gone on a course, who's gone on to work, but the difference that the team will have done to those people, the number of people outside that total, if you like, it's going to be the inputs and the information we've had from families and the young people speaks volumes and much more than this data. And I would propose that the fact that the team has been able to work, and when they say that they've engaged with 194 young people, they've worked with them to get them to a better place regarding their mental health, their welfare, their needs in the community. And so perhaps the data doesn't convey that clearly. Maybe an extra a bit of information and detail about the difference we made to the lives of those children outside those numbers on courses, outside numbers who gained employment. We did have a session where we brought an element of the project to an end, and there were interviews with young people regarding their experiences of the project, and you could see the benefits they'd had from the project. And so sometimes I always say, look at the data with a bit of caution, because the softer things around improvement are also important and sometimes more important than the hard data. With regards to where we are at the moment in comparison, this team is constantly nationally done well during the period. There's been recognition to the way the team works. Luckily, they've been they're a long-established team, so gotten to know each other and also work on their strengths to work with individuals with complex needs. So I am very happy with the way the team has worked with regards to looking at the results of partners, sorry, not partners, other councils. And when you see the data for the whole of Wales, you can see the figures in Anglesey of the number of people that we've reached, 194. That's substantially higher than other councils who are larger councils. So I hope that gives you some assurance and some explanation regarding the data. I understand the way you've looked at it, and I can see that might not give a positive outlook, but it doesn't say anything about the history, and we can include an extra paragraph under that. Thank you. Do you have a supplementary, Chair? Thank you for that explanation, and I do accept completely that good work is ongoing with young people, and so that's been the money has come to an end with the grants, and I am glad to see that the council is going to employ staff and continue with the work. Is there an element of risk, being as the grants have come to an end from Gratra, or are you happy with what you've reached already?
That raises a concern for us, and sometimes we don't know till the last minute that there is money continuing or additional or new money available. We do have an application in for a significant sum of money to be able to continue this project, and we're not just crossing our fingers that that's going to be coming back successful, but we do have a plan B maybe, and maybe we won't be able to offer what we would like to, but it'll offer something at least. And we have internal an element of this work, but I do hope it will be successful. It is a joint application. We've passed 2 steps, if not 3 by now. So in the final hurdle, and we are listening carefully to the feedback that we have been receiving following those steps, and have changed the application as required. So we do hope to collaborate with an external partnership that we do have on the project if this money will come to us. Thank you very much to Councillor Dylan Rees. Councillor Richard Owen-Jones. Thank you very much. And good afternoon, Vaughan. Talking about the challenges and risks that have been over the last year, you've mentioned in the document that we formed different hubs and new projects. Has this provided more of a challenge for staff? And what other risks have you seen over the last year? Maybe the fact that the hubs and works have been established has helped us as social services. I think there's an element sometimes that social services is everything for everyone. We have to remember that social services is not there to be everything for everyone. And social services sometimes is not the best service to give people a service. And the fact that someone has a lanyard with social worker on it at times doesn't help. And families respond better at times to people out in the community and in hubs. So the hubs that have been developed and the relationship we have with Menter Môn and Medrwn Môn, for example, has helped us in this period. The risks and challenges that we have at the moment, I think we're in the middle of the biggest challenge we have. We are in the middle of the third wave, but we are in the middle of that third wave at the moment. And we're starting to see in the adult services at the moment the effects of long COVID and how that is affecting us, and where those individuals are going to get a service, be it from the health board or ourselves. This is a new condition, to be honest, isn't it? And we are working with our partners in the health board and regionally to try and understand how we are going to meet the needs of those individuals who are suffering from this illness moving forward. I think another thing is, whilst it's been a financially positive year for us, we do not know what is around the corner in the future. We do have ICF plans, and we are pressing on that ICF money, and if that came to an end, elements of the service would not exist, and that is the concern for us. And we are working nationally to try and understand, and we do understand there's the announcements going to be made about ICF money and transformation money, but the sooner we know about that, the better, because sometimes we get money last minute, as you know, and we aren't able to plan for that. So that's always a challenge for us, especially as we're a small council. Some of these big councils have massive departments who can plan at short notice. We do our best to do that, and we do have applications ready to go for a number of pots of money. We do give every application we can so that we can take advantage of the money available. As we've heard, the increase in numbers, and it's going to be a challenge. We have plans for this financial year, but we'll have to look at the next financial year and further than that, of course. So that's where we're up to at the moment, I think. And the challenge that's been mentioned was picked up on by Councillor Margaret Roberts. The other challenge is, how are we going to care and concentrate on the needs of our staff and be able to attract people into this profession when the health and social care profession is seen as the health side. We are a poor relation, if I can describe it like that. That's how it feels at times. And what we see at the moment is a challenge is to get people to work in the care sector. We'd rather be a healthcare assistant in the health board, for example. So we see those challenges, and I think we need to celebrate our staff and show that there is status, if you like, to work in the care sector and look after people who already work in that sector, to be able to keep our workers. So a number of challenges, a number of risks. We are aware of what they are, and we do have plans, but lots of them depend on the communication that will come from the government. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for the questions, the challenging questions, and thanks for your answers, more importantly. I do feel that we have had assurance from the director and portfolio holder of the good work and plans that are in place for the future. Any other questions? No? Is anybody willing to propose that we accept the report and to recommend the report to the executive? I'll propose, Chair. Councillor Richard Griffith proposes, and seconded by Councillor Margaret Murley-Roberts. Can you all show if you're in agreement, please? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. And this report will go to the executive next Monday. I do have to apologise that I can't be in attendance in that meeting of the executive, but I'm sure the report will get fair play there. Okay, we move on therefore to the forward work programme. As you see, we have a meeting in September the 13th, as it happens. Monitoring performance Q1 of the first year, 2021-22. Finance Scrutiny Panel Progress Report. Progress Monitoring Social Services Improvements Plan. Social Services Improvements Panel Progress Report, and the Committee Forward Work Programme. So that will be on the agenda on the next meeting in September. Can I appeal to you, as I always do, if you do have any items you'd wish to be putting on the agenda, please contact myself or the Vice Chair. And the items we're still waiting to be programmed into the timetable is the school modernisation programmes for Seiriol and Amlwch, the housing revenue account business plan 22-23, assets and small holdings management plan, the final draft budget proposals for 22-23. That's all up to when we'll hear from the settlements from the Welsh Government, and the recovery plans for COVID-19. So as you see, we've got enough to come over the next few months. So with those few words, can I thank you all for your attendance this afternoon in the meeting, and I now bring the committee to an end at 1:55. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon.